Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the program today, a fascinating story with Christy Dalton. She deals with social media and her specialty, government social media, for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Christy Dalton. She is the CEO of Government Social Media. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so let's start out with, give me the 30-second elevator pitch to describe your company.
Okay, so Government Social Media, we, in a nutshell, support the people who manage social media for government agencies across the United States. How about that? Do I get 20 seconds back?
You get 20 seconds back. But the question is, so explain a little bit further, why do these people need support? Let's start there.
Sure. Well, I've been in this space for a long time, and it used to be back in the day in about, I'd say, 2008, 2009, people were just starting to even have government agencies on social media. They were just starting to experiment. And nowadays it's more commonplace to have government agencies on social media. It's kind of an expectation. But the person at the government agency who's managing social media is probably the communicator, it might be the PIO. It's someone who wears multiple other hats. And social media for a government entity and for politicians is much more complicated than it is just for your average Joe business.
And why is that?
It's because government agencies have to consider laws like First Amendment applications to their social media profiles, as well as public records and FOIA requests, what it means to
so
block
freedom
constituents.
of information, right?
Yes, yes. And the public records of direct messages and things like that. People have freedom of speech, and on a government agency's social media profiles, they can exercise that freedom of speech, and they can comment and be negative and be unhappy, and that's their right to do so. And if you are a private company, you're more than welcome to delete those comments and never let them see the light of day. But if you're a government agency, that is officially a part of the public record. And so you allow that negativity. So there are a lot of differences.
That's very interesting because, you know, for years it used to be that if people wanted to complain about something, they would write to their local newspaper or the New York Times, whatever it might be, and the newspaper would go through, edit, select, you know, a few letters and publish those. Then as we moved into the internet era, people then had websites where they allowed comments, and you know, I know from Nevada Newsmakers we post a lot of things on Facebook, and sometimes to my chagrin, people get into these arguments based on a show that I've posted that have nothing to do with the program, and it gets crazy and out of control, and I only will delete people if they're using rude or abusive language. or it's completely crazy. I mean, you know, I don't want to have those kind of people blocking the filter here. But as you say, for governments, they can't do that. So is there a net benefit to them being able to communicate this way, or do they run the risk of it being a big negative?
Along with the challenges that social media brings is tremendous opportunities for government agencies and for politicians. For decision making, for learning what the public feels and their sentiments. How many people actually go into a government agency and voice their opinion to politicians? This is a way for them to understand what their constituents think and to also get their messages out as well. At the end of the day, social media, if you're not doing ads or anything like that, it's a free medium and you can reach millions and millions of people, and government agencies see the benefit in harnessing that.
Okay, so is part of the success of social media for government agencies the fact that news organizations, and I'm talking primarily television and radio, have in a lot of ways, and with a few exceptions like KOH in this town, do a great job of communicating the local news, but a lot of other stations fall down. They've resorted to the police blotter, the fire blotter, and not much else beyond that. So is that what's opened the door here to social media, is that people have because people do have a hunger for news and information. This program is an example of that. So is that really what happened? The collapse of local news has generated social media in a greater way?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I would say that over 90% of Americans are turning to the internet for news in some fashion. And when you look at modern news websites nowadays, with their models changing for how they get subscriptions and earn revenue, the experience on news websites is less than ideal. You get multiple pop-ups, you get asks for your email address. A lot of times the content on news website is gated nowadays, where you have to have a subscription to read the rest of the article. I think people get frustrated with that, especially with the fact that they can look to social media, and they are more and more these days for news because it's easy. They likely have an app on their phone for the social network versus an app on their phone to send them the news.
All right, so then you look at that and go, okay, this all makes sense, but doesn't that open up a Pandora's box for misinformation or information that comes from an agency that is slanted towards a particular point of view?
The biggest challenge with social media that government agencies deal with is with misinformation and with rumors and with allowing or listening on social media and people posting whatever they want, whatever tickles their fancy, they'll post on social media. It's hard for the public to discern what's the truth, what's just people's opinion, and what's fact. In fact, it was becoming so prevalent on the social networks that Facebook even started a fact-checking program where if something got numerous shares and it went viral, but it had incorrect information in it, they would start pulling that down and not allow that. A lot of it was through AI, through artificial intelligence, but misinformation on social media is a huge challenge.
Okay, so what's the most egregious example of this? And it doesn't have to be out of Nevada, but the one that strikes you.
Well, I would say...
Or are there just too many?
With probably the most popular example of using social networks in a way where you're either sharing misinformation or trying to skew public thought, public sentiment, has been widely reported on, and that's the attempted influence, whether successful or not, with the 2016 presidential election. And the idea there was that it was through the creation of fake profiles, through social media ads, and it was just designed to influence public sentiment in further getting people who are on social media to be unhappy in one respect or the other. And I think Facebook calls them bad actors. And so they've taken a number of steps, and they've received a lot of pressure through political systems and through many countries over the U.S. And so that is one of the major examples of where everyone having access to social media has posed a challenge.
All right, so are we gullible? Is that part of the problem? That, you know, there was an old joke where somebody came out with a statement and somebody said, well, how do you verify that? Well, I read it. And the person says, really? And I said, yeah, I wrote it down, then I read it and put it on, you know, to social media. Are we gullible? Do we believe whatever we see?
Yeah, I think that now that has been adapted to, well, I saw it on the internet, so of course it must be true. And I think that a big part of it is that it's not necessarily the problem that we're gullible. One thing you have to realize about the social networks is the big A word that they call the algorithm. And the algorithm with social networks means that when you go on Facebook, you're not just going to see everything that everyone you're connected with posts on Facebook. Facebook is making thousands and thousands of decisions about what to display to you as a person on Facebook based on your previous interactions with other content. So they look at thousands of different signals to decide, well, in the past, Sam liked this comment from one of his friends, and in the past he watched these videos, and so he's more than likely to interact either positively or negatively or comment with this piece of content, so we're going to display that to him. But think about what that does. If I'm a person who, if you look at my feed and my husband's feed on Facebook, it looks entirely different. He likes to watch a lot of videos, so he has a lot of videos displayed. He likes to comment a lot. I like text posts, I like images, that type of thing is displayed to me, but it's more than that, it's the content of that. And what happens is the world that I see on social media is different than the world the next person sees on social media and the next person. And if you're only being showed content based on your likelihood of interacting with it, think about the types of content that you might be likely to interact with. I'm only going to take the time to interact with something if it's going to get a rise out of me or if I strongly feel about it. And so that's the type of content that I'm going to see oftentimes. So any person who's looking at social media might feel that everyone thinks the same way they do, that it's kind of this vacuum, that all of their friends feel the same way, and it could just be that the content that they're being displayed was chosen to be displayed to them because of their interactions with it.
Okay, so it's the echo chamber.
The echo chamber.
All right, lots more to talk to you about. Let's take a break and we'll come right back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully's Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
Yeah.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Christy Dalton. She is the CEO of Government Social Media. So you were talking about the echo chamber in the previous segment. One thing, I come from an entertainment background, little kid putting on shows. And the one thing I've learned over the years is that one needs to be a producer, one needs to understand what original content may be or what an audience would like, whether they know it or not. And so to create something original, to bring people into let's use the theater as the example. If I want to put on a show, I don't want you as the audience to tell me what to put on as the show. I want you to come to the show, and then I should know how to entertain you and bring in the right acts or whatever it might be, the right singer. So when people get locked into only what they hear being, what they already believe, isn't there room for people to come in with a different point of view and a different idea and say, look at it from this perspective?
I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity to share different perspectives. I think that...
But does the algorithm get in the way of that?
Well, you're still going to see content that is shared by people who you're connected with. It's not, and a lot of this is handled by machines and by AI, so this isn't a devious plot to get you to just see through this tunnel, to kind of have that tunnel vision. But you're still going to be able to interact with other content, especially with people who are like your close friends and who you communicate a lot with on social media. You're still going to have the opportunity to interact with that. And I think that what is going to get, even with the algorithm and even with those of us with Facebook pages, we're just seeing a teeny tiny portion of the people who have liked our page or connected with our page are actually seeing our content. But the content that you actually see is that creativity. If you're able to have a different perspective, but to frame it in a way that's either creative, and here's also the secret to content on social media, that it doesn't take a lot of planning and all this money and marketing team to figure this out. It's to speak authentically and transparently. And if you have that voice and you speak in that way, your content is going to go far because just people naturally gravitate towards that. The algorithm isn't going to always get in the way.
It's interesting, because you're coming back to a basic point of advertising and marketing, really. And Arthur Godfrey started this 50, 60 years ago, which is talking directly to people. And he sold an incredible amount of products, but he sold them because people believed that what he was saying, that he was actually drinking that coffee, he was actually, buying that product and utilizing it. So that goes back to the authenticity that you were talking about. So it's just a different medium, but it's the same message.
It is, and we see time and time again when government agencies kind of peel back the curtain and they show transparency, authenticity, a certain amount of candor in their communication on social media, it goes very far and gets heard by a lot of people.
I'll give you an example of where things can get crazy on social media. It was just announced as we're taping this that Harrah's Reno is going to be sold. And this makes a lot of sense in the modern world. Anybody who understands the gaming industry and has looked at Reno knows that we already have 4,000 rooms with the Row, the El Dorado group downtown. There really wasn't a need to continue on with Harrah's Reno, and it should have been sold years ago. But seeing the comments based on news articles that were posted on Facebook, so many people had this wrong. I mean, it was just amazing. And so it seems to me that, there needs to be more input from businesses to clearing up the mess that's in there, and yet a lot of times it isn't cleared up and just the nonsense goes on. And I'm not going to be the one going in there posting saying you people have no clue, but there's a rationale. So for government aid, I guess to come back to the government agencies, so for government agencies, because of the lack of news coverage, especially on the local level, it seems like there are so many issues that are relevant to people that people would care about if they knew they were going on. And I'm talking about the city of Reno, Washoe County, Clark County, the city of Las Vegas. The more that they can put out there, the better.
Absolutely. And the nice part about social media is that you can go directly with your agency's message directly to your constituents and your public and the citizens that you serve, and not have the filter of news organizations. That's one of the benefits that a lot of PIOs and communicators see, because they can say their words and know that their words will be exactly what citizens see. A lot of times they're a little bit nervous because they don't know how to frame something and they don't know how to share it on social media. But yeah.
All right, so let's take a break. We'll come back. Let's talk about the presidential election and social media when we come back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Christy Dalton. She's the CEO of Government Social Media. So let's talk about the presidential elections and the caucus here in Nevada, because we have a whole bunch of candidates who are running, quite strongly, with the exception of Mike Bloomberg, in Nevada. And they put out tons of press releases every day, but the amount of social media, minimal. In fact, it's really surrogates more than anybody else that are putting out the message. Are they getting this wrong?
I think that the problem that politicians run into with social media is they many times are stuck in the old way of doing things, where you can have a press release, you take a snapshot, a screenshot or a PDF of the press release, and then you try to share that on social media and assume that it's going to be read. No one even looks at that. No one reads that. It's not communicating on the platforms like how you would if you were a digital native on the platforms, and no one reads press releases in that way. And it goes back to, you've got to be authentic, you've got to talk personally from yourself and talk about your feelings and tell a story, and people will always relate to that.
And that goes back to 60 Minutes or Origins, which is tell me a story. Okay, we're running out of time here. We've got about a minute left here, and maybe this is the setup for your next appearance on the program. So much money has moved from the regular advertising world into the digital world. Are people being smart about this, or is this like the original .com heading towards the .com bust, where people are spending all this money, moving it away from traditional media, and yet not being effective in their use?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that it's kind of the evolution of .com. Everything's on the internet now. Social media isn't going anywhere. It's going to evolve, and one day Facebook isn't going to be the dominant platform. It might be a different version. It might be something else, but this is where people are
I've got to give up my
communicating.
MySpace account?
They're still around. They're actually really popular in the music community, but it will evolve to other things. It's a smart place to put your money.
All right, but bottom line is, at this point in time, it's still very much in the early stages.
I would say social media, the first network, if you look at being LinkedIn in 2002, it's been around for approaching 20 years now, which is amazing when you think about that, but it's not going anywhere. It will continue to evolve, and I think I would probably agree with that statement, that it's still in its infancy.
All right, and that's where we got to leave it. Thank you so much. Come back, will you?
Thank you, will do.
We appreciate it, and we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.